and good evening. Have I got a show for you? Welcome. My name is Inbaal. I'm a psychic, tarot reader, and witch, and I'm here on the Bigfoot Outlaw Network, which is a YouTube channel chock full of esoteric programming. We're live on YouTube right now. We're also live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, and we're trying to go live on Instagram, but my system is going a little bit funny. If you're not catching us live, you can catch the show on all the podcasting networks forever. So if you're watching us live, get involved. You're able to send messages to screen and get interacting with us. I say us because tonight I am not alone. Just before we finished last week, I promised you an incredible treat, and I have got her. So, for those of you who know her, and especially for those of you who don't yet know her, I require that you put your hands together for Katie, a natural psychic, medium, and reader from Little Window Readings. Here she is. Yay! Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay this time?
I can, yeah, it's actually working now. I've got my little old-fashioned earphones in.
Oh, it's the best. I walk around the house with a little bag that has the headphones for...
It's such a good idea.
The headphones for each phone separate and rolled up. You know when you get crystals and you get like the little free bag?
Oh no, look, it's a good idea.
Thank you. So I'm not an earbud person. I'm with a nice old-fashioned one.
Yeah,
so I'm really there.
we like a wire.
We do like a wire.
We do like a
I
wire.
agree. Yeah, rise up, all the wired girlies. So let me check who we've got with us, because we go live on lots of different platforms. People can message to screen on all the platforms except for Instagram. I don't really know why. And then they can watch the show later on all the podcasting networks, and also later on all the YouTube and Facebook and stuff. But let me just sort of flick who we've got there, and then we're going to get really excited about you being on here. So
I don't want to disappoint.
I don't foresee that happening. Little psychic joke there. So Grizz, who runs the show and whose channel it is, says you can support me by sending stars. Stars help me earn money to make more content. Love it. Crystal J says hi. Hi. And Mark is already welcoming you. Mark is my close friend. Saying good evening, Inbaal, and welcome, Katie. Please, everyone, remember to hit the like button so you know when Inbaal and others are on. I'm writing, so in the background listening in, Mark's a writer. Judy is saying hello. Sandy is saying good evening, Inbaal blessings, also to Katie. And Daldal says hi. And Daldal says, I'm wired without the cord. What's the difference? Daldal, I think I might be too old to know the difference. But yeah, I invited Katie onto the show because I love the way that she relates her readings so much. I always see her clients saying how incredible she is.
I've got the best clients, honestly.
Honestly,
I think the right clients always find you. If you work with them more than once, it's just a different kind of relationship once they get to trust you and once you've worked with someone. And I'm very blessed that every client I've had, I've just built a lovely bond with. And I'm sure you're the same with your repeat clients and the people that come back. It's very special.
You see people sort of grow and go through life's ages and
I mean, what people don't realize is being a psychic is akin, and I've got to be careful with what I say here, but to being a therapist. This is why we call it spiritual therapy, because some people they trust us with so much, and they trust us to get into their energies. So to share that connection with someone, it's not just a case of, right, nice to meet you, never see you again. If it's you help them through things. I've seen my clients grow, and I always say I actually really like if I only hear from them like once a year rather than them constantly messaging me, because that means they've grown, they've helped themselves, we've helped them.
Yeah. And then if
It's
somebody
really,
does go through like a moment where they need you more than once and they're like, I'm so sorry to ring again. I'm so sorry to ring again. Like,
never apologize.
absolutely. You know, that's what we're here.
And I'm sure you get that as well, because I get that, like, it's been a month, I'm so sorry I'm messaging you again. It's like, why are you saying sorry? If you need me, I'm here. That's what our job is. You know, we are healers, we are helpers.
It's so much more than a job, isn't it? Because it's such a joy. It's such a privilege to be able to do this for people. I once got massively told off for saying that I think it's like priests. So granted, I did not grow up with priests around, but it is, you know, this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to get onto religion, but
no,
you know, spirituality is the original religion, and every religion branched off from spiritual views, i.e., you know, certain churches using incense or divination, and you know, getting messages. Are you getting it from God or are you getting it from spirit? It's the same thing. That's all I'll say on it. But so when you say it's like priests, of course it is. You go to the holy person, you go to the oracle, you go to whoever you trust that is more spiritually aligned than yourself, and you go to them for guidance. So of course it's the same thing. It's just the more modern version.
I was so inspired. I was so inspired when I heard you tell your origin story. So I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with your origin story. Yeah, I really think it should be like what do you call it? Like put on the screen. So
to me, it's just life. Yeah,
it's just life for some people. It's just life for some
as
people.
you know, it's not something like it. When you tell it, there is like a mysticism attached to it. But as you all know, it's just leading a normal life, and you've seen things, and because you're so used to it, it doesn't feel weird.
Yeah, because you don't know that any other child is having any other experiences.
Yeah.
So would you be so lovely as to share with us your origin story? How it's the same question always, isn't it? How did you know you
How did you get into it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back 33, 34 years to when I was 5. I'm sure I'd seen things before, but obviously, you know, there are just certain big memories and big moments that happen that you remember from your childhood. So my family, they're a little bit unconventional, not ridiculously so, but my parents still like to go out clubbing, and they were fun, and you know, they would sort of not expect, but they or enforce, but they wouldn't mind us sort of being around more alternative things. So there were a lot of fun sort of like family festival things, or you know, going to Camden Market when we were kids and seeing all like the goths and the crystal sellers. And obviously it was the 90s, so it was like so many crystal stores and tie-dye and sort of bohemian stuff. So my parents were really cool. There was always incense in my house. So my mum, really spiritual. She was with a development circle, which I only found out about when I was a bit older. Obviously at 5 I didn't know. She should have been a healer. She still should be. She's just totally magical. Everyone loves her. We all love her. But she unfortunately lost her parents very young, and her mum was only 49 when she passed away. So I think my mum was sort of about 19, something like that. And so I grew up in an old Edwardian house that was a semi-detached, so it had side access on one side. And there was a downstairs toilet with a little window in it, hence my name, Little Window Readings, because that's where I saw my first spirit. Just a little mottled window, like about that big. And my mum and dad were having a barbecue, and I saw this woman walk down the side when I'd gone in to use the toilet. And all I saw was this wavy, dark blonde hair, really beautiful, like bouncy hair. And I saw a pale blue, like duck egg blue dress with white polka dots on it. And I came out of the loo, washed my hands, obviously, and went, "Oh, mummy, who's that?" And she went, "What do you mean?" I went, "Who's just turned up?" She was wearing such a pretty dress, like, just, I really noticed her. And it could have been anyone, because there were people coming and going. And she went, "Oh, everyone's here. Like, there's no one like that." And I said, she had blonde hair, and I described her. I said, "This is the dress she was wearing. This is the kind of blue." It had big polka dots. So it wasn't small ones. They were like big circles or whatever it was. And my mum sort of looked at me and she was like, "Wait a minute." And she went and got some photos, brought them down. She went, "Is this the lady you saw?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's her." And she was wearing the dress. And my mum was like, "Oh, that was my mummy you saw." And obviously she's not going to scare a 5-year-old and say, "Oh, you've seen your first ghost, you know, muzzle top." rite of
It's
passage
the
in my
first
house.
ghost you remember. It's really
Yeah,
occurred to me that you
exactly.
may have seen loads of ghosts
Oh,
before, but
going back to that, that's what I think a lot of imaginary friends actually are, because obviously children are born with the gift, and it's beaten out, not beaten out of you, but spoken out of you by saying, "Oh, there's no such thing. Like you're just playing." But that's another thing. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, you've seen an angel," because she didn't want to scare me and say ghost. And I was just so happy. I was like, "Oh, that's so lovely. She came to visit me." So straight away, my first ghost experience wasn't scary. That I remember wasn't scary, because my mum used the right terminology. She was excited for me because she was spiritual anyway, a little bit jealous. She was like, "Oh, why did you get to see her? I wanted to." But she made it fun and she made it relatable, and it just felt totally normal, and I felt blessed. Just as much as any child would have felt if you said, "Oh, the tooth fairy's been," you believe in it. So it there was no fear attached, no connotations of anything bad. And so that's was my first experience. Then after that, just over the years, random little things happening. I was always that kid, I'd bring a Ouija board to school. I had a miniature little keyring one, and I wasn't really an outcast or anything. I had loads of friends, but I was a bit weird. And they'd always be like, "Oh, you like that witchy stuff? You like this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I do, because it's true and it's real." And I hadn't really developed, but I was just a teenager who had had some experiences, or would look at something and say, "Right, if I see 3 yellow cars in a row, that's my sign." So I do all the things that a lot of kids do when you set yourself signs and you believe in a higher power and you pray to God or to spirit or ask your angels for something. So it was never weird to me, which is obviously now, as grown-up psychics, we try and enforce to other people to bring that magic back.
yeah,
because it is real, but it was just so normal. Same with superstition and things. There were certain superstitions I'd never cross. And then another big spiritual moment I had was when I stayed over at my boyfriend's, now husband's, house when I was a teenager. So he lived in a very old-fashioned cottage, like a 2 up, 2 down, with the toilets downstairs, really old, like Victorian cottage. So I'd woke up in the middle of the night. It was 3:33, the witching hour, just needed to go to the loo. So I went downstairs, and his toilet, so there's the living room and then the toilet facing on. So the door is there, and then this is his living room. And when I came out of the loo, when the creak of the door went, I swear it went, "Katie," and I was just, I'm terrified. I was like, "Oh my God, not tonight, not tonight." If I'm going to see a ghost, can it be in the daytime, please? Because there's just something scary about it. And especially as a teenage girl, when I'd kind of shut it off and just got on with life. Now, my husband's father, unfortunately passed away when he was a very newborn baby. I've seen photos of him. I knew what he looked like. I came out of that downstairs loo, and as you come out onto the living room, there is an armchair. And there he was, sitting in the armchair, smoking a pipe. And as he blew it out, he dissipated into smoke. Obviously, I completely crapped myself. I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to sit," and ran upstairs, like hid under cover. I was like, "Right, that's it. I'm done. No more spirit stuff. It's too scary." And for some reason, I just said, I'll be happy to reconnect with spirit when I'm a mother. I just knew it would be that I will open it up when I'm a mum, because in my head as a teenager, parents aren't scared of anything because we're looking after our kids. And, to me, my mum wasn't scared of that side. So I said that. I got on with life. I had a nice little break from spirit, a good 5 years plus. And then at 21 or 20 or 21, I went for a reading from a local psychic because I just wanted to look into some stuff. And she looked at me before I even sat down. She went, "You've got a gift." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know, but I don't want to work with it." Like, I still believed, I just didn't want to work with it. She went, "Spirit will make you ill if you don't work with it. You've got to work with it. If you've got a gift, you've got a gift. And if you know you've got a gift, you have to use it." And
wow, how did you feel when she said that?
I was just like, well, I'd always said to myself, I always knew it was coming because I'd said when I'm a mum. Right. With me, did I just lose my head? There. So I always knew it was coming, but obviously I was only in my early 20s, so wasn't ready. But that reading was great. And so I do more clairvoyance rather than mediumship work now, but at the time I worked a lot with spirits, and she was a really good medium. And my leg went cold. And she went, "Do your leg just go cold?" And I went, "Yeah, why?" She went, got your mate's ex-boyfriend here." And there was a boy, I won't say his name or anything for local people that might be watching, but he'd passed away at about 18 in a car crash. And she went, "Oh, he cut his hair, but he used to have beautiful long flowing curtains and like really good looking boy, brown hair. And she said his name. And she went, and I was like, why would he be squeezing my leg? She went, because how many of your friends would come to me, like a local woman who is the local energy? She went, it's because you're the closest thing to your friend, and he's just saying hello. And he actually gave me a message to pass on to some friends saying, don't get in a yellow car outside such and such nightclub. It was a local nightclub to us. Yeah. And I was thinking, oh God, I'd already been working for 3 years out of school, and I thought, I don't want to ring these boys that I haven't had anything to do with for 3 years and say, your dead mate's just comes through on a ring. So don't get in a yellow car.
Important instructions. I will say this only once. Important instructions for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had weird things like that happen when you think, oh God, do I really have to be the one to deliver that message? But I did, and they laughed and they rolled their eyes. They're like, right, great, whatever. Anyway, it happened. They got in a yellow car, and the guy who was driving sneezed on a roundabout, and it flipped over. And one of them ended up on crutches for a good year. Another one's ear got ripped off, luckily sewn back on. But I think, the one that I told the message didn't go that night, so didn't pass it on.
Yeah.
Everyone was okay, but it was another huge validation. So after I got all those validations, I was like, right, I've got to develop. Obviously, it's time. So I did develop a little bit before. Oh, no, sorry. So I was getting into it, and then I fully started developing once I'd had my first, who's now 11. That's when I joined an actual circle. So I opened myself up to getting messages, didn't quite understand them. Then joined a development circle about 11 and a half years ago. And never looked back. As soon as I went there, things were coming through, things were making sense. He taught us some amazing energy work techniques, and gave me a love of Psy cards. So everyone else in our circle started with tarot, ended up doing tarot. I stuck to these, which are Psy cards. They're a little bit different.
Yeah, they're so interesting.
Yeah, so they're more intuition-led rather than having rules like tarot do.
When it was time for you to find a circle, was it quite easy for you to find it?
Yeah, we had been told about this amazing guy, this medium. I'll say his name. He's fantastic. He's called Danny Wilshire. Beautiful, pure-hearted man. And he used to do these very intimate platform mediumship shows. So, you'd pay for your ticket, you'd sit down and you'd see him working, say, does anyone have a Carol here? She wants to say this. But he went in such in depth. We were just like amazed. And as soon as the show finished, I was with my mum, and we came up to him. We went, how do we develop? And he was like, oh, I run a circle. You want to join? Come next week. So lovely, so easy, because right place, right time. Other people I do know, they go to spiritual churches, or they look online, or they try and find local ones, and they don't feel like they fit. I just think I was lucky that day, right time, right place.
To be honest, I actually had like an agenda in asking you that, because I always say, when the time is right, it's easy. But I didn't know, I hadn't asked you that before. So I was a bit gambling, like my whole philosophy.
I mean, I'm not a foremost authority on it because it was so easy, but I'm assuming it is just a case of it will just happen naturally if it's meant to.
Exactly.
You shouldn't force it, because there were people that came and went and didn't carry on with the circle because it didn't come naturally and they were trying to force it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's the same for like most things in life, but especially spiritual things or emotional things, that when the moment is right and when you're ready, it's as easy as leaves falling from a tree.
Yeah. I mean,
it wasn't you.
Like I said, it was kind of so weird how when I met that woman and went for my reading, that she was just like, right, this is that. And also by going there, because of, not I had a fear of ghosts. When I started reading online for clients rather than face to face, more spirits were coming through, because I would be somewhere like here. So I'm in my shed effectively right now at the end of the garden, away from the house, away from the kids. And I would be going in at 11 at night doing my readings, and, it would be dark and there would be spirits everywhere. And it was really great for them during it. But then afterwards, I'd switch my phone off, walk back through the house in the dark and be scared. So it kind of went full circle with me being like, okay, spirits, leave me alone a little bit again now.
Yeah.
So that's where I actually found a passion and more of a calling for clairvoyance rather than mediumship. So I now actually prefer to work with predictions, the future, energy, what's going on now and what's coming for you. So I would say now, I'd say only 1 in 6 readings the spirit would come through. because I don't, I've got my boundaries with them now. I've worked with them for so long now, you know, officially, obviously my whole life, but officially for like 10 years as reading.
Yeah.
That I've sort of said, look, if you really need to come through, jump in. But I don't want to just be like, your dead nan's here and she wants to say she loves you. I want to hear like, the gold is buried underneath the floorboards. This is Peter from number 24 coming through, and I'm telling you what, like, because as beautiful as it is for my clients, for me, it's so much, like, to take them on and to have them around and then to have the feelings afterwards and sort of cleanse it, that unless it's a really big thing, I just rather say to my client, you know, think of this as a therapy session, but also you will get your validations. I will have predictions. This is what you need to know. If a spirit's like desperate to say, I want to come through, and they give me their names, what they look like, everything, they get priority all the time. But I prefer helping people in their life, because as you know, even if we live to be 100, human life is short and we'll be with our loved ones again.
Yeah.
So you need advice on how to live your life now rather than living in the past and wanting a dead person to come through. If it's been through something really traumatic, they will always come through. If it's something where I'm like, oh my God, there's a suicide here, or you really need this, I can't stop them. I don't know if you're the same when you've worked with spirit.
Actually, my mediumistic connection is much, much weaker than anything else that I do. So it has to be something really extraordinary.
That's where I'm getting to now, because I actually prefer the peace it gives me, because the energy.
Yeah. And it's for me, because I have never found it easy. Having said that, I've never sort of sat in a circle. I've never found it easy. And I remember there was a spirit when I was starting out that was annoyed with me because I wasn't hearing. It was really like you and me before we went live. I wasn't hearing.
Yeah.
And the spirit kind of huffed away and I could still see her. And then she huffed back and she held up letters for me. And she was spelling, it was like the primary school that her daughter had gone to. And she was spelling that for me. And I was sort of telling her the letters. And she's like, oh, yeah, that is the school I went to.
That's the way I prefer, with visions rather than the spirit.
Yeah.
It's much easier. So I would, if I got that message, I would be like, I know that this message is coming through for a woman, but I can't tell you anything more because I've got that boundary up. But then I would say, I've got an image of a school and it's making me feel this. And then the client understands where it's coming from, who it is, and they still get that validation and that connection, which is lovely. But it's about the message rather than, I've got her standing here and she looks like this.
Yeah. Have you seen your mum's mum like sporadically since?
No, but I felt her. I mean, she is always around. She's never walked past a window again, which is a bit gutting. I have seen her shadow through light once when the light was in my eyes. But if I ask her something, she will always respond. So my wedding day, middle of July. So you think you're safe. Absolutely chucked it down with rain and I was freaking out and everyone's like, oh my God. So me, my mum, my cousin, my sister, we were all like, come on, Margaret, please, can you just, stop the rain so that I could walk down the aisle? Yeah. And as soon as we said that, I'm not joking, just went, stopped, and then the clouds parted and the sun went. And in that split second, it was crazy. Any other time, my mum and I have always said, when we're talking to Margaret, we see a robin. And what's funny is every single time we're on the phone to each other, even if I rung her right now and turned around, there'd be a robin outside, even though it's dark.
In the dark, in June.
Every time we speak to each other, there is a robin. And I will say to her when I'm on the phone, I'm like, have you seen your robin yet? She's like, yeah, it's looking at me. I'm like, yeah, I've got one too. Like, without fail. And we always say hello, Margaret, to the robin. Whether people want to believe that or not, whether it's someone else, whether Robin's just like us.
Anyone else watching, like the robin is sort of quite widely accepted as a sign that sort of the spirit is
it's the messenger,
Yeah. Let me flick through a few more messages that have come through. Sabrina says, hola Inbaal, and hi everyone, and to Sandy and Mark. Mark is greeting, Sandy's greeting, Mark is greeting, Sandy is greeting. Rob is swearing. Rob is saying, I didn't get this alert. Outrageous. I'm all set up for alerts. Crystal is here. Crystal, I really hope you're enjoying the chat with your cooking. Mark says good evening to everyone. Oh, it didn't get the alert either. Yeah, guys, it's very possible that you didn't get the alert because I only set up like the whole studio 15 minutes before, and that's totally on me. Sandy's at the very top of my to-do list. It's like set up shows. It's been in the very top of my to-do list for a week and a half since we got back. Crystal, greetings. Sabrina, greetings. Sorry, I'm flashing up all the messages of everyone greeting each other. So you can see each other's messages, because different platforms might not see each other's messages. But that one is for you. Katie Daldal says, love your story. Mark, who is a working psychic himself, semi-working psychic.
I'm just reading it. I'm getting closer. I need my glasses.
He says one of the worst things you can do is force it. It should always come naturally when it comes to mediumship and developing circles. I think sometimes, I always say, because I teach tarot, and people will be like, can anyone learn? I say anyone can learn. Like you can always...
you can always learn what the meanings are.
Yeah, you can achieve a certain level of competence. But I think of it like, for example, I am the worst dancer. The worst. You put music on. Okay, all right. I was going to say, put the music on, you give me 2 kisses and leave. That is the best for your eyes, so you don't damage your eyes. But I think if I had taken classes, for example, I would be able to achieve some level of competency around dancing. So I think it's kind of the same with psychic work. It doesn't really matter if you're born with, born without. You can achieve some level.
We're all psychic because it's about connection. We are reading energy, we are radiating energy, we vibrate at certain levels. It's all about increasing your vibration, opening your heart and mind up. And obviously, I'm going to be a massive hypocrite, but obviously, eating the right food and drinking the water, and so that your body can do what it does. Obviously, if you're a natural psychic, let's face it, we don't always look after ourselves. I certainly don't. But I've already got to a level where I'm happy. And actually, when I was developing, I was healthier because I just had a baby and I was having all the vitamins and everything else. Now I'd say once you're there, if you start not looking after yourself, you don't lose your gift, you just get extra drained. But it's all energy, to the point of you can literally get your aura photographed or get certain energies photographed and sort of logged, and you can use crystals, and diamonds in laser work because it refracts things, and it's all energy. How it's transmuted, how it's reflected, refracted, read, whatever you want to call it. It's just about harnessing it. And some of us just do that more naturally. Others need to learn it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's about trust as well.
I think trust is important both for the novice and for the, I think you could be so incredibly gifted, but if you don't trust, your readings will fall a little weak and you won't get the validations that you're wanting to give.
Well, you'll doubt yourself. You might not tell people things because you might think, oh, it doesn't feel right to say that, so I'm not going to say it. But actually, that could be the biggest part.
Yeah, exactly. Nilda is saying, beautiful ladies, blessings, everyone. Sorry, I'm trying to put the message that says everyone. Still trying. As you can see,
ask you a question?
Technological whiz. Sorry?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
With your tarot, do you read intuitively as well as by the book, or do you... Because I know so many people that are like, no, this card means this. And I'm like, well, with my cards, it's about how I feel. Because you're a natural psychic, I would assume that you go by like, even if it's showing a certain one, you'll think, but that doesn't feel right, so I'm going to go with this rather than...
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, because I work with the soft deck, it's a lot less kind of regimented visually, and it's really sort of set to, to read from the colors and the textures. When I started out, I started with one book that was not even for the thoth at all. So I just had to kind of figure it out as I went along. This one's a very good book. But I not about the book meanings at all. And, you know, I do quite a bit of writing. And sometimes in order for stuff to sort of look all right, like, you know, for the paper so that it looks sharp, I literally have to Google the card meaning. Now, I have not been.
And then you realize it actually goes along with what you were feeling anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost like you're psychic.
But I don't have a way to express it in words that aren't weird. So now it's been, what year is it? 2025. I've not been more than 3 paces away from a deck of cards in 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'll still be like, yeah, what are like sensible words to describe the Six of Cups? What are sensible words for it? But
that's why I don't do the email readings anymore, because the write-up on it, I'm like, I just need to talk to someone because I need to put it into feelings when I'm talking, but it wouldn't transpose onto text.
I don't mind the text ones, because for me, that's another thing of trust. Because, you know, if you do, like, say, a phone reading, and it's somebody who's got like a very juicy language, a lot of effing and blinding, then the reading will be delivered in the same kind of language that they understand.
So that's me.
Yeah. Or if you've got somebody who's very timid, very bashful, maybe like an older person, then the reading will be delivered in the way that they need to receive it. I find it the same with email readings. So I love the email readings because I'm awake in the hours that I want to be awake. The daylight and the nighttime, they don't bother me so much. I'm awake in the hours I want to be awake. So I'll work all night if I have to. And then with an email reading, I can do that at 5 a.m. That's not really...
no, fair enough. I do that for my question services. So if someone asks me a specific subject, and we'll say, like, so I offer one where I can either do a yes or no, a little bit more than that, or, you know, an in-depth spread. So I'll send them at least 8 cards and then explain what it means. That for one subject I'll do. But when someone asks for their whole, you know, a whole year ahead type thing, or just, you know, when they say just read me and see what comes up, I need to have them on a video call watching my cards so that their focus is on it and I'm picking up their energy. It might be, it's like it's preference, all of it, obviously.
It's preference, but I promise you that it's also confidence, because I find that in a big email reading, I want questions to hinge from. I want to know what I'm looking for. But here and there, I'll have, like, you know, my best ladies go, just tell me what you're picking up.
Oh, yeah, if they're people you've worked with before and they've already allowed you in.
And I'll be like, okay, if no questions, that's fine. That's fine. I'm very working class in that way. I'm like, you know, you're offering me a job. I do job. So I'll be like, okay, you know, I'll do it. And I'll like postpone it. I'll postpone it. So, you know, like 11:30 at night, I'm dragging my feet to the laptop and I'm like, okay, let's take out some cards. And it won't be like, without the questions, it won't even be like that huge of a paragraph without questions. If you're like free writing, you're getting like 2 pages. Those readings are the ones where I get the most moving
download.
The most moving feedback from the person. They'll be like, I can't believe how you picked up on this and that. And that is, for me, proof that it is so much on confidence, because as I'm typing it, I'm thinking this none of
you're
this
just letting it flow.
But I'll be like, none of this makes sense. This is it. I'm losing myself a client. I'm thinking, no, I should have insisted on questions. And I'll press send, because me and the send button, we are such good friends, because send means this is it. I'm detaching my energy from this. Now, this is you. This is for you. Send with love. So I love the send button. I don't proofread readings ever. So if you've got readings for me and there's like typos in there, because I don't proof them, I just sort of send them the
best way.
But
because then you'll overthink. If you proofread, you will always overthink and think, why did I say that? Oh, now it doesn't feel like you've got it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, the overthinking is like an enemy. So I'll just sort of send them and then get like the most unbelievable, like I'll literally be crying at the feedback, because it's the relief. Like I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I pulled it off. But yeah, if anyone there is questioning themselves, Today's a good day to stop. Tomorrow,
And
also
I
good
think
day.
it's probably unusual for your viewers to hear people like us that give other people guidance with such assuredness at the time, saying, actually, sometimes we do doubt ourselves and we do question and we think, was it right to say that? And that's why as psychics, especially when we work online and we have sort of a client base, we need those reviews and those validations to actually let us know, do you know what, that was so right, and please tell everyone that you got it right, because we care about our work and our clients, and if there is something that's quite big that we say, we need to know where it's come from or where it's going and to get validated. It's not an ego thing. It's purely,
it's the interaction. It's part of the interaction.
Well, but
Just
it's
like
also,
when you talk
we do
to
need that
somebody.
validation to know we're good at what we do, to give us the confidence to carry on doing it.
Yeah. I tell you a funny thing. I worked like years and years ago, this is like 20 something years, when Psychic Interactive was a new channel. And we got like our first new like work experience producer. He was a young guy, he's 18, he was moving the levers and stuff, and he didn't believe in anything at all. And I heard him speak to another one of the producers from one of the other floors, from one of the shows, and that sort of young 18-year-old, what he said is, it's not that I now believe, he said, but I see the psychics come off the phone and they're like crying, or they're like saying,
he realizes we're not like fakes trying to get money, that it's such an exchange of energies. And
exactly. He said, I was expecting people to put down the phone and laugh. And I can't believe that, I did this and that. But he said that it was the responses that he could see, that it's genuine work being done. And I think, for anybody that really sort of questions, just come into the world, watch a little bit.
See what happens.
Yeah. It's
my husband was like that. My husband was like that. And I quite like that. I've got to be honest. I don't think I could be with a spiritual guy. I think, two spiritual people together, it just, not for me.
Yeah, no, I've done it. I've done it for the both of us. No.
But I mean, he's had more readings than me. He's gone to more, not so many from me, because obviously if I tell him something, he'll be like, well, you've just spun your narrative on that. Like, that's bollocks. But he's actually gone for more readings than me, than other people, and they've picked up, unfortunately, stuff about his dad and names and nicknames on things. And I remember the first one he went to, and he was gone for like an hour. It's the woman that I'd seen that told me I'd do this, and he went when he was in his mid-20s, and he came back with like pages of writing, like all over. And I'd be like, oh my God, like, so was she good? And he was like, I'm not saying I believe, but there's a lot of stuff she wouldn't have known. And my husband was never on social media, didn't have Facebook, not even, like no one could have Googled his name.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, I can't argue with some of the stuff, but it doesn't mean I believe. And I thought, why don't you just say, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Funny enough, he pushes me to do it.
Yeah, they need to stand behind like a fence, either of logic. There's people who, again, we're not really touching on religion, but there's people that need to see psychic work within the context of where religion places it and not go further than that. And that is cool, because I think the way that...
Do you mean like prophets, like prophecy sort of stuff?
Exactly. Or that it would be sort of just as part of prayer, or that it would be only the messages that would come from, priest, priestess, and so on.
So only certain people are allowed to do psychic work, basically.
Yeah. Don't we love a bit of hierarchy when it when it chances out? No, hate hierarchy. We've got Crystal, who was also very psychic as a child, and is incredible psychic now. Saying yes, thank you very much. I absolutely love the topic, as it is very close to me. And she's cooking jambalaya. She's listening to us while cooking her dinner. Nilda, this is like the best topic. Saying, I have just discovered that I have a hard time reading for myself. Is something that could happen? Why?
No, I can't read for myself. Never. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people that do read for themselves, and if you're going to read for yourself, I would say at most do an oracle card pull and just get the written message. I would never do a spread for myself, because when you read for yourself, your desire will always cloud your judgment. So however you want it to go, you might have a card that's telling you not to do something. And because you want to do it, in your head, you'll be like, I don't think it's telling me that. I think it's telling me that if I do it, I might have an option that I won't be happy with. Like, you will always try and fit it. This is why I like reading for people, like even friends and close family. Sometimes I say, I don't really want to read about that subject, because if it's something I don't want to happen for you, I don't want to have to deliver that news. So of course, you know, if you read for yourself and it's an emotive subject or something where you've got a desired outcome, you're going to try and fit the narrative to your benefit. So I would always go to another psychic.
The fear, it depends if you're
anxious.
But it'll go either or. So
always go to another trusted psychic for your messages, and ultimately, look, do an energy swap. You don't need to pay them and have a full reading. Just say, right, I know you're good. Do you want to swap? I'll ask you a couple of questions. You ask me. We can read for each other. That's what I do. I mean, constantly I'm messaging other psychics saying, hi, lovely, do you want to do 20 minutes each? And can you pull some cards for me on this situation? Like,
that's really cute, because I don't know if it's just me, but I'll have sort of the same 20 quid going back and forth for mini readings with people.
Yes.
Bye, little 20. I'll probably see you soon.
Well, that's why we like to do an energy swap, because otherwise, you know, I think psychics are probably the worst people for going to other psychics saying, can you just ask again, or can you do this? It's like how doctors are the worst patients. We are the worst clients.
We maintain our own economy. We don't really.
But also, we
don't really need the rest of the world to come to us for readings.
No, of course.
It's fine. We prop each other up.
It's just a cycle, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also, I can't remember what I was going to say, but I think we need that validation as well from other people, because we just can't. Some people say they can. If we were really that good at reading for ourselves, we'd all play the lottery numbers and we'd all do, you know. We are not placed here to help ourselves.
Unless things are really, really sort of, again, extreme, we don't get the lottery numbers for other people either. We'll get things akin to.
Like you might say, right, the number 13 is really lucky around you. I don't know why, but you're not going to give them 6 numbers and a lucky whatever.
No, that's it. It could be the number 13, but that could be like on the registration plate of the car that they hire for like a phenomenal
or on the
trip.
13th of a certain month, or
Yeah, exactly. Daldal says, oh, I love that, saying, I took blank cards and put the tarot name on them. I go by intuition because there's no pictures of colors. I put a 1 or 2 word meaning on them. That is so awesome. There's something so stark and primal about it.
Yeah, anything that resonates with you.
Yeah. Do you want to show us some of your cards? Maybe pull up your favorite cards.
Right. So normally, I didn't say, so my account is faceless. I occasionally in stories might show my face, but I don't plaster my face in videos. All people see are my hands, my cards, my table. So it would be like the opposite to that. I've got the camera focused on that for many reasons, you know, original shyness when I first came on, protection, security, and also the fact that I find when my clients are focused on my hands and the cards, they're focused on the reading, not on my body language, my expressions, anything like that. So it's good for distraction. Also, I don't need to bother putting my makeup on when I speak to people, so that's beneficial. I would say ignore the state of my nails. It might sound like a small
thing, but it's not.
No, it's huge. Just see me after the school run with a bun on top of my hair and no eyebrows drawn on. It's terrifying.
I want to tell you the funniest thing. When was it? I think it was in the winter. I'm always cold anyway. I'm always cold in England, like full stop. And I went on my friend's podcast, not realizing that we were doing camera. So I was like, amazing. Dressing gown, fluffy one, my favorite one, my winter one. Yeah. M&S, those sort of really sleek ones. Anyway, it was camera. As it happens, I've got black eyebrows and black lashes. So, you know, so the worst has been mitigated.
Yeah.
But my dad rings me up and he's like, oh, on my Instagram, I saw you in an interview. You look so nice. You were wearing something with a fur collar.
Oh, bless him.
He's never seen me dress so smart. Look at that. I had a collar. It was furry. Didn't you look fancy?
Well, I had something quite embarrassing happening to me. I don't know if this is the right place to say about it. When I in my old house before this, I would use my dressing room because it was a really lovely built-in big table, so there was loads of space for me to pull cards. But the backdrop of it, the wall, was a mirror. So one night I was doing, and like I said, my my camera was focused down on my hands and cards only, but about that much of the mirror sort of showed in reflection, but it only reflected my hands. I was in a rush and I was doing a live, and I was doing it in a dressing gown after my bath. And my dog started barking, and I got up to forgetting it was a mirror, and my dressing gown was open. And they would have got an eyeful of, I'm not saying of what, but of bits. And I was like, oh my God. And I made an excuse, and I was like, oh, someone's at the door. I'll be back in a bit. I deleted it, and I was like, oh my God. And then I needed to realize you have to delete from a delete folder as well, because it can be reinstated. And it was on Instagram Live about 2.5 years ago. No one, I didn't even check the comments because I thought, I bet someone would have been like, was that boob or was that?
Yeah.
And it was it wouldn't have been full on.
Less than what you think. But
I mean, I stood up at a mirror and my dressing gown opened, so I'm sure
somebody saw something.
But I've never to this day addressed that. And now it's
literally there's TikTok accounts dedicated to that niche.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? If we do get this posted to Instagram and my followers say it, I'm probably get a message saying, I was watching that story.
Yeah. I'll be like, I remember.
Oh well. No one ever told me, so bless them for that. Yeah, my cards. So these are Psy cards. They look, I'm trying to show it without the light, very similar to tarot. My mentor, Danny, always said when we got them, throw away the leaflet. Don't go by the meanings. Go by how they make you feel. Because ultimately, as you know, working with cards, they are your cards. They stay near you. I've always got these in my bag or near me around the house with a crystal on them. They're always charging. They're full of my energy. I've never smoke cleansed them. I bonk them, but I don't want anything leaving apart from the previous reading. The different ones I sort of have, we've got like a mother and a father card, which often would be like relationships. So sometimes it is about the parents, but normally if I'm speaking to a woman and they're talking about her husband, it would be the mother and the father or a man coming in. Then we've got things like the body and the fortune. So you can see they are different to tarot. There are numbers on there. I don't actually know what they're for because I choose not to read the things, but if the number stands out for me during a reading, I will cite that. But like the fortune card would be sort of something that will come up if I said you're on the right track. The fortune card is someone, walking up this thing. They've got a way to go, but they are headed in the right direction. So they're quite self-explanatory. There are some, the never card can sometimes mean something is never going to happen, but it could also just mean negativity, dependent on how I feel. So you might have one spread and then the exact same spread would come up for another client, totally different messages because it's, as you know, how I feel looking at them. I've got some similar ones. We have got the Tower card. We've got the yes and the no. But things like we've got the skills, which would normally be about work or about having the tenacity to get out of a situation. So I really love them because they tell a story. So when I'm talking to a client, if I get a feeling first and then I pull cards on it, the exact same story will come out and they'll be like, oh my God, I can see how it is telling me that. So it's nice for the client as well because they don't have to ask you what it means. A lot of the time it's making sense as we go along.
Yeah.
So if you want, I can do a live question for someone. Just as an example.
So we actually have a question. I scrolled up and found a question from Nilda. Now we're actually running out of time. Guys, don't think that we're not really, really excited to talk to you, but because we want to upload it later to Katie's Instagram, it's got to stay under an hour. So we will sort of
5 minutes.
We will sort of rush off, even though we could sort of stay here for generations. We've got a great question from Nilda that I think you'll enjoy answering. And she says, can you give me a reading on my spiritual work? Thanks.
I mean, so I would say if someone, when I do the question service, asked me that, I would say, what do you mean by that? On if you should get into it or where it's going to go, like give me a bit more. Obviously, that is more of a reading. I would say go for a 20-minute reading on that. So we're live and so we can chat and we can go get the energy going. I will do a spread here to see what it says, but it might not make complete sense because you might have a rebuttal on that or another point to add. But sure, we just for demonstration purposes. But if that was one of my clients that asked that, I'd say I can do, but if you want to give me more of a question, ask now, and then I can give you a more detailed answer.
Yeah, so she says, where is it going? So
perfect.
looking for direction.
Right. So the beauty, the scales, the yes, and the liberation. So the beauty, can you see that? Again, sorry about my nails. I did not prepare, and they're scratched to buggery. The scale. So the beauty and the scales with the yes were the first three that came out. So the beauty card would be good energy. You've clearly got a gift. It's something you should share, not something you should ignore. The scales show balance coming in. So when you say which direction is it going in, we've got balance. We've got you being recognized. The scales balancing out. If it's something you wanted to follow, I would say definitely do it, because we then have the yes card. Now we've got the liberation here. The fact that it's come with good cards, it's not about running away and cutting ties. The liberation is more about relief. So like I said, they can come through in different ways on how I feel. The fact it's come with those cards, this is about you letting go of fear and negativity. This is about you releasing yourself into it and riding off into the sunset because it's something that benefits you. Now, let me just get another one or two out and see what else they say, if there's anything else. Right, so we've got the father, the tree, and the cave. Now, this could either be about, the father, the tree, and the cave. Look, I don't know what I'm doing there. So there's a man here that you're building something with. I can't tell if this man is romantic or if it's to do with your spiritual work, if it's someone, like a client or a potential person who's getting you work or offering something. Just need to say there is something being built here. So it could be a relationship, because the tree can be about family, tree can be about putting roots down, growing, flourishing, but it could also be about work because it's strength and sturdy sort of foundations. That comes with the cave. Now, it's the only bad card here, and it's not even a bad card. This is a stress card. The good thing about the cave is it has a light at the end of the tunnel, and that person in the cave who is stressed out just needs to stand up, advocate for themselves, and walk towards the light. So go the direction they want to go. It does feel like there is a man in your life or a male figure somewhere where you're going to have to not put them in their place, but maybe say, no, look, this is what I'm going to do. If it's someone at work blocking you, it's about saying, I feel like I need to do this. Can you help facilitate it? And I really need to go after this. Or if it's a relationship and it's maybe someone saying, oh, stop it with that. You turn around and say, no, I won't, because this is important to me. It's something I want to build upon. So it's not that you're going to part ways with this guy as such. It's just about advocating for yourself with their influence maybe not being as positive around your spiritual work. I hope that sort of makes sense.
Thank you so much. Oh, it was really generous of you. That's such a lot of information.
Oh, I've lost you again. One sec.
Oh, can you not hear
me?
There we go. That was such a lot of information and such a
I tried to talk a little bit slower.
No, not at all. No, I think she can sort of slow down the YouTube to watch it back. So if anyone wants to get hold of you, let me remove all the messages because your Instagram handle is right there. Instagram.com/little window readings. And you're the person responding to your own messages and your own.
Yes, I don't have a team or anything. It's just me. I would say I did used to have a scammer, which is ridiculous because I'm not even a big account, who copied my stuff. I don't know if they're still doing it because they blocked me. So always, if you feel like the wording is a bit off, or you think, oh, is this actually her? Ask for a voice note. I'm always happy to do a voice note on there and say, hi, it's Katie. What do you want to know? And also when I send my payment details, my PayPal has little window readings on it, or the sum up link is a real thing. And I work through another company I own with my husband called Penrex for my business details. So I'll say it now. If I ever send bank details, it will actually say Penrex on it. So now if anyone ever tries to set anything up, you know what I do and who I am.
Fabulous. You've got such a distinctive voice that if you were to leave a voice note, they know this is Katie. There's no copying.
Have I?
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Okay. No, I feel like, okay, it's for a completely different story, but when I was sort of trying to modify my accent a little bit, I used to listen to like, you know, very, very English voices to help me and inspire me. So that sort of really takes me back to that. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for sharing your story with us.
Thanks.
Mark had already sent a message that said you must come back. So we'll hopefully arrange that. And we're doing our best to keep it under an hour so that it can upload to our Instagram just fine. So everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. It's been amazing. And we'll see you another time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.